From the sun in Sebring to the unpredictability of Lime Rock, Speed GT points leader Max Angelelli found out when it rains in Connecticut, you better stay on track. The Cadillac ace is in search of back-to-back wins, but the list of drivers wanting revenge for the Italians' dominance in round one is long. Reigning champion Randy Pope, fellow Audi pilot Michael Galati, Cadillac's Andy Pilgrim, and Corvette driver Phil McClure all stand a chance of giving Max the axe. Speed World Challenge GT is next. After a break of more than 2 months, the tightest production-based series in North America returns to the track. This is round 2 of the SCCA Speed World Challenge GT Championship. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie along with our Speed World Challenge analyst Dorsey Schrader, and welcome to the beautiful lush surrounds of Lime Rock Park here in northwestern Connecticut. Dorsey, it seems an eternity since we had the opening round in Sebring several months ago, but it's still so easy to remember the Cadillac dominance.
Yeah, I think the Cadillac boys showed a little too much speed.
The SCCA have had to rein them in a little bit, and of course rewards weight is always a factor in World Challenge racing, but they got more than just the rewards weight.
Yeah, they did indeed. They raised the car 200 pounds from 3,000 to 3,200, but worse than that, they put a 30% restriction on the air restrictor, and they've taken away 900 RPMs. They can only run the Cadillac now at 7,000. All of this should slow it up substantially.
We'll keep an eye on the Cadillacs, but here's a list of the other cars it'll be racing against today.
At the top of the list, without question, I don't know on the racetrack, the Audi, all-wheel drive Audis, 2 of them, they're very, very fast. The Cadillacs have been the talk of the town, no question, but a local driver and a Porsche has stirred things up. Pontiac GTO, a lot of horsepower right there, as the Corvette and the Viper also have. BMW with its agility can be a factor, and there's a couple of Fords, Salines out there. They'll be fast.
As you've heard already, the topic of conversation is the Cadillac CTSV and Max Angelelli and his teammate Andy Pilgrim, but they got up the weekend off to a pretty tough start. In particular, Max Angelelli earlier in the weekend when it was raining, and this is not how they wanted to start.
We're on the outside of the left-hander, and there's no grip, which he's about to find out. And what Max didn't know is, you know what, really deep water out there.
And considering how much water he buried himself in, they got away with that one pretty easily. They did not have to change the engine and were able to be back out for the next session. So a tough start for the Cadillac team. Unfortunately for all of us, the rain has stayed away over the past couple of days. Qualifying, these boys were flying, Dorsey, in comparison to last year.
Randy Popes, Michael Galati, the champion Audis are right at the top, very fast. So Michael Culver with that Porsche turned a lot of heads in 3rd place.
Of course, returning to the series, Lou Gilotti, a former champion, and he out-qualified the 2 Cadillac CTSVs. And fast Phil McClure, 2 times a race winner last year in his 3R Racing Corvette. He will be one to watch as well, and Leighton Reese, such a well-known name.
John Young in the first of the Ford Mustangs. He did that with 3 gears. He lost top gear. He might be faster than he looks.
And Eric Curran, whilst he was quick in qualifying, he will start this race from pit lane. We'll talk more about that a little later. But as you can see, behind the graphics there, the cars are rolling. And we are moments away from the second round of the 2004 Speed World Challenge GT Series. But it's time to go down trackside now, and from Motorsport Ministries, Dan Lacey for the invocation.
To the Cadillac Speed World Challenge team, Max Angelelli.
Preparations
starting in car number 28.
as the cars roll.
Dallas, Texas, the LG Pro Long Tube Header Corvette C06, the G-Man. Blue, Lou Gilotti. Starting in the 3rd spot, racing out of Westport, Connecticut, the hometown boy. The first racing Porsche 911 Cup car, car number 14, is Michael Culver. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your front row, both in Audi certified pre-owned Audi RS6 competition. Champion Audi racing team, car number 2.
It's my pleasure now to introduce Reverend Dan Lacey to deliver today's invocation.
Will you pray with me? Father, we thank you for an opportunity to be here at Lime Rock Park. We thank you for the men and women across this country, across this world who serve and watch over this blessed nation. And Lord, we ask for their safety. We ask for watching over them. Thank you, Lord, for those that have given their lives in the past for our freedom. And Lord, we do not want to take that for granted. And this day, as we have freedom to race, We ask for safety for the crews, the drivers, and Father, for a blessed day. In Christ's name, amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please remain standing, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Don Taglieri for the rendition of today's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Great job from John Taglieri there, as we are moments away from the start of the second round of the Speed GT Championship, the World Challenge for 2004. And the Audis have done such a terrific job in qualifying. Calvin Fish.
Well, Lee, for Randy Popes, our 2003 GT champion, round one in Sebring was a disaster. Even though he led early, power steering failure pitched him off the racetrack. But what a great way to rebound here at Lime Rock in round two. Randy sitting on the pole. You got a long haul ahead of you now for this championship, though. Talk us through the race today. What do you expect out there?
Well, I'm on the comeback trail for certified pre-owned Audi, and I got a great champion RS6 underneath me. I've qualified well. We picked the outside lane because it's clean track out here. Nobody ever drives in there, and it gives me a better line into one. And we're just going to see how quick everybody really is. Until the green lights go on, we don't know where we are.
Well, a very good qualifying session for this team. Not only does Pope sit on the pole, his teammate Michael Gallardi starts alongside him. More champion front row here in Lime Rock.
Yeah, tremendous effort from those RS6s. And Randy Popes, the pole man, is the reigning champion as well.
I'll tell you what, that's a bit controversial starting on the outside. He says it's a clean racetrack going into turn one. You know what the real truth is? He's got his teammate alongside. These Audis are great on these starts. That'll give them a 1-2 easily going into turn one, and I think that's what he's really about.
That gives you a good overview of last year's championship standings. It was a real battle between Audi and BMW. But we continue to talk about Audi, and Calvin has more.
Well, Lee, when you look at those standings, it was certainly a very lean year for our 2002 champion, Michael Gallardi. Michael, has been 16 races now since you last won one of these things. How about today? Can you make it happen?
Well, hopefully we can make the pre-owned RS6, certified pre-owned RS6 is running well. We should have a good start. I think we can give a run for their money today.
Okay, well, they had a podium finish down in round one at Sebring. He's back on track. Michael Gallardi certainly has the swagger back, Lee.
He certainly does, and it was a double header here last year for the GT Championship, and the Audis split the poles, but BMW took the spoils. We'll see what happens today. Dorsey, the race analysis, the keys to this race.
46 laps or 50 minutes, and that 50 minutes is imposed because this is a tough little racetrack with all these cars. If they get to banging on each other, you know, with it, it's still wet out there. 62.2 mile length. We'll see what happens. There shouldn't be any pit stops if there's no damages.
And if you do have to pit, the race is over for you, that's for sure. This is fast, frantic racing. The Speed World Challenge GT Championship, moments away from getting fired up. And we'll see what happens. And it's interesting, these cars just keep getting faster and faster. They've had to continue to increase the lap count, the distance here at Lime Rock Park. And they are flying at the moment. All Audi front row, a Porsche, and the Corvette on the second row. What can Lou Gilotti come up with today? And then look at that third row, those beautiful looking Cadillac CTSVs.
What's hard is these Audis in the front, you know, they get such good standing starts. They're going to jump out front. It's hard enough to get by one, but when you got a teammate and there's two of them, it's tough.
Leighton Reese, Phil McClure make up that fourth row. What can Phil come up with? Great American muscle car battle there. You see on the right of your screen, John Young in the Saleen Mustang. He's all set to go as well. Well, earlier in the weekend, we had plenty of action here. There was a Busch North Series race, and we were able to go on board with front-runner Matt Kobaluk for a beautiful lap around this circuit, and Dorsey talks more about this historic racetrack.
Let's have a look at Lime Rock Park. Viewed from here, it looks very much like a right-hand oval. In fact, it kind of is. Lime Rock Park was built in 1957. It does have 8 different corners to it. However, one thing the track map doesn't show you is elevation change. I found a way to do that by riding on board with Matt Kobaluk. Here, past start-finish line, you're headed toward turn 1. Heavy braking as you turn into what's known as Big Bend. And the reason for that, it goes on for a long time. Before you get to this, tightening up corner, turn 2. Now, blast down this straightaway here, headed for the left-hander. It's the only left-hander on the racetrack, and it's called the left-hander. The corner up ahead is very important. Turn 4 leads onto the back straightaway, and that's called the no-name straightaway. You build a lot of speed here as you accelerate toward the scariest corner around here called the uphill or the climbing corner. If you get it wrong here, you'll be looking for a backup car. Listen to the engine as it gets light over this rise. Big acceleration now toward West Bend, a very fast right-hander. You're going to sweep through this corner and head for the downhill, another very scary corner. And if you get off on this one, you won't be coming back. However, if you make this corner, you're on the pit straightaway, and you're about to get the checkered flag. That is a lap of Lime Rock Park.
Fabulous shot, fabulous racetrack, very challenging. Dorsey, you know this place very well.
Well, it was supposed to rain today. Good news is there's no rain clouds around here. 66 degrees, quite a bit warmer than when these guys qualified. We'll have to see how their setups are. But without the rain, the Audis surely don't have as good a chance as they would have.
4, I'm going to give you the go, okay? At 4 seconds.
Getting close to firing this thing up and putting these cars into action.
We're less than a minute away from getting proceedings underway.
Cars will be fired shortly. And with the rain clouds going away, there was a lot of relieved people, Dorse, that it didn't stick around because those all-wheel Audis would have been gone.
Well, they're on the pole 1 and 2 already in the dry, but if it should be raining, they would really surely be awfully good.
Your engines.
There's the command to start the engines. They fire up. And if you haven't seen Speed World Challenge racing before, and if you haven't seen these two fantastic Audi RS6s prepared by Champion Racing in Florida, watch them launch off the line. They go like rockets, and they will take some catching around Lime Rock here today. Once they leave the grid, they'll go around and do a formation lap, and we will be underway for round 2 of the Speed World Challenge GT Championship. Bill Aublin, the reigning touring car champion, also raced GT last year, and he dominated here at Lime Rock, 2 from 2. We'll see what the score count is today. It was a tough weekend for Audi last year, in particular Michael Gallardi. Several crashes. And the cars roll. Dorsey, as you mentioned, it's just a 1.5 mile circuit, but so challenging, isn't it?
It is. It's a very, very fast circuit. There's no slow part. The slowest corner is what you're looking at right here, the left-hander, and that's not slow by any means. But we also have heard that Eric Curran, who was our number 10 place qualifier in the Dodge Viper, will have to start from the pit road. So he'll start dead last on the field in his Viper as a result of not getting the car in line quickly enough.
Eric has taken to that car very well, the Viper. He's been quick this weekend. We'll see what he can come up with. first time we've seen the new Cadillacs on the Lime Rock Park circuit.
Say it's a fast racetrack. These guys circulate in 54 seconds, so it's sub 1 minute. If you have to make a pit stop, you'll go a lap down for certain. Average speed around here, over 101 mile per hour for these cars.
Let's take a look at the full starting grid, and as we mentioned, Randy Popes, for the 10th time in his Speed World Challenge career, starts from the pole, his teammate right alongside. The second row is made up of a Porsche and a Corvette.
Right up next is the Cadillac group, Max Angelelli, Andy Pilgrim. We'll see how much that restriction hurts him.
All Corvette fourth row, Phil McClure, Leighton Reese back in the Speed World Challenge Championship. Great to have him back.
John Young right there only had 3 gears in qualifying. His fourth was broke. It's fixed now. He might be faster. Eric Kern starts in the back.
McMillan in one of the former PTG BMW M3s, their fast cars here. That was the race-winning car from 2003. And Tommy Archer in his 3R Racing Dodge Viper Coupe.
John Groom, Sonny Whelan, and another one of the very potent Vipers.
Best of the rookies too, Sonny Whelan. We also saw him in the Busch North Series race. Thomas Oates in his Tiger Racing Corvette, and Jason Martin on the 8th row.
Tony Caples there, and Lenny Diller making up row 9.
Full field here, great field of GT cars, 28 cars in total. Back on the 10th row, Mike McCann and Tim Weens, the third and final 3R Racing driver. There's Jim McCann, brother to Mike, and Stu Hayner, who's campaigning this new and very powerful Pontiac GTO. It's still in its development phases, though. A lot of work left to do on that car.
Indeed there is. Tom Stewart up and John Burris in row 12. A full field, as you say, getting ready for the start, everybody getting in position.
Imagine if you were out there, Dorsey, and you're starting behind these Audi RS6s. We know that they just fly off the line. It's almost quite crushing to see them just disappear. You have to be patient, though, I guess. Is that the strategy?
Well, you do. There's nothing you can do about it. It's the 5-second board's been giving. They're going to squirt out of there if they don't stall, and they very seldom do.
Clear at the back. The grid's clear. We're ready to go. This is the Speed World Challenge GT Championship for 2004. There's been more than 2 months off since Sebring. When the lights go out, we will be underway. And we roll. The Audis fly from the line, and Mike Gallardi has the inside run, but look further back, there is a big scrap on, and John Young has been the biggest mover in the pack.
Wow, that Mustang leap around the outside with, oh, guys on a curb now. The BMW climbs the curb, but everybody gets through turn 1 safely.
That was Jason Martinelli, ran into a little trouble. The outside poleman leads the way, though. 5 times World Challenge champion Michael Gallardi leads the way from Randy Popes. They fly away. Has John Young been able to get there? Yes, he has. He's already swept around Michael Culver.
Well, I don't think Randy Popes had that plan for his teammate to jump out in front of him like that, but he did. That Mustang's the story. Like I say, it qualified on only 3 gears, so it didn't run down the straightaway well. It's a very potent race car.
They are just continuing to fine-tune these wonderful RS6s. And Mike Gallardi has the newer of the car. There's actually 3 in existence. And Michael got an updated one for the 2004 season. He leads the reigning champion at the end of lap 1.
Even though these cars are built identical, you learn things as you go. So the second one or the third one after that becomes a little bit better in some small little ways.
Michael Culver now shadowing John Young. They're the 2 Cadillacs running strong at the moment, but it's Tommy Archer who's made an unbelievable start, and we've lost one of them. The 31 machine has gone around.
That spin also collects one of the Porsches.
In fact, it was Leonard Diller.
Yeah,
the 51. Oh, now he's stuck.
He's got high centered now. You see right, he's pulled right down into the ditch there. Knocked a piece of the back of the car off. We got some cooling hoses, a lot of damage on the right rear from where the Porsche collected it.
Well, we're very pleased to have in the HD net. Whoa, booth. Derek Bell, 5 times Le Mans 24-hour winner, joins us here in the booth. Look at that. That's wild.
Yeah, well, then Michael lost it coming down the hill a bit, and of course he loses his lead. Lets Randy through. It's one of those things you can't afford to put a foot wrong. And he was coming down. I mean, Randy was very close behind him. You have to do it at this level, but of course the point is if the guy in front gets into trouble, it's your teammate, you're going to be part of his accident too. So I don't know if it's the wisest thing to do, but it worked out for Randy and he's in front now.
And on top of that, where he made the pass, take a look right now here first. Coming down the downhill, Michael gets in, turns in a little bit early.
But he just had a little bit of a
shake
twitch
on the
way
wheel.
in. Yeah.
Now he's going to slide to the outside, across the curb, into the dirt. It's a good save, actually. The
Good
all-wheel
save,
drive helped
four-wheel
him.
drive helps, man, believe me. Wherever you are, just keep locking it and keep the power on. It generally comes back. But
Derek, let's take care of some business first. You're here first and foremost because you will be running again in the Speedwell Challenge GT Championship in a Volvo. Give us the update. When will we see you?
well, we're working very hard on it. Obviously, it only started in December, and the guys have worked very hard in Florida to get it going. And it's very close. I mean, my car's sitting there ready to go. Oh, here we go. Course car going out and pick up that, so full course yellow. So we're going to have the car ready as soon as we can. I mean, it could well be mid-Ohio, but I think it'll be a bit after that. There's no point in going racing until we're ready. And fortunately, the head man at Volvo understands motorsport and knows that Rome wasn't built in a day. You know?
Yeah, well, we look forward to that. Let's get it down to pit lane. Carl.
Well, Lou Gelati, after a great qualifying run on the second row, got a little over-eager on the initial start. He jumped the start there. He had to make a stop and go, and he's now got a big battle ahead of him as he tried to battle his way through the pack, Lee.
Well, someone else who made a great start but is still out there on the track is Tommy Archer, who did an incredible job in that Viper competition coupe to come from 12th to now be running very strong in the top 5. So great start from Tommy. We're under our first full course caution after just 3 laps. I think that the course car, the safety car, came out and caught Randy Popes by surprise a little. He was throwing his hands up in the cockpit.
The trouble is, you know, they have to make a decision. You have to bear with the marshals, the organisers. They have to sort of wait for calls to come back. They don't really know how bad it is down there at turn 1, how the car, well, it can be moved. And of course, you know, by the time they tell the guy down there, okay, you can go, suddenly, oh no, not yet, the cars are coming, you know.
Yeah, and as I said at the beginning of the show, there's no slow place around here. Everywhere you're going, you're over 100 miles per hour. So when that pace car or pace truck pops in your face, you just say, oh.
The revised order as we're under caution is Pope, Scolati, Young, Culver, Archer, the top 5. Andy Pilgrim ahead of Max Angelelli, the 2 Cadillacs. Then it's Phil McClure, Tony Gaples, and Leighton Reese, the top 10. We'll take a quick break from Lime Rock, but we'll return and go back to Green Flag Racing. This is round 2 of the Speed GT World Challenge. Back at Lime Rock Park here in Connecticut, round 2 of the Speed GT Championship for 2004, and you're looking at Leonard Diller's car, one of our rookies in the Speed World Challenge GT Series, being towed off circuit after spinning down in turn 1. Here's the replay.
Down here in Big Bend, it's so easy to get wrong. He's already spun right there, but he's not locked the brake up, and he collects his Porsche, actually backs right into it. And he was an innocent bystander, the poor guy in the Porsche.
He just didn't want to go there, did he? But he wouldn't want to get on that dirt either, because the Porsche had probably gone equally as far as he's gone already. But how damaged was the Porsche? I'm not quite sure. He's certainly done much good to his Viper, that's for sure.
So they've had that situation addressed fairly quickly, and this is how we sit now, the top 5 for you.
No surprises with the Audis. I mean, we knew they'd jump to an early lead, and they did. The surprises are what's behind them. That Mustang right there, that Celine, very, very quick. And Michael Culver in the Porsche, who was, like I said at the beginning of the show, turned everyone's head with the qualifying speed of that car.
But you just said it in the warm-up there that, you know, John Young only had 3 gears, and he just proved his point. I mean, that car was way ahead of the class back 3 years ago, and he's still there developing it. And, of course, with the fresh rubber and stuff, it's really working for him.
You know, when you come up that uphill in these cars, they don't run the chicane like the faster cars do. So when you come over that, the car gets very light. These big horsepower cars spin the rear wheels over the top of that hill, then they slam back down, and that's how you break those gears. You know, of course, would be in a top gear right in that area.
Absolutely, no. I mean, and it's an amazing little hill that. As you come up over there, it's an amazing buzz as your car goes light and you just replant, time to dab the brakes and go around the next right-hander.
Time to go racing again here at Lime Rock. They're showing the green flag and the pole sitter, and last year's champion Randy Popes leads the way, but watch the 3rd car in shot, John Young in that Saline Mustang. What does he have for these 2 Audis up front?
Well, some trouble behind back there. You saw Woodhouse just get pushed outside there.
It's very tricky this first turn because it's such a long corner and it's virtually got 2 apexes coming around. You try and go sideways, but if the guy doesn't be pleasant to you, he just eases you out on that outside. You start to back off and all hell breaks loose.
And we said the other day, it rained so hard around you don't dare get offline and get yourself into where you drop into the grass.
You must remember too that this track gets a beating in the winter from the bad weather, severe weather. And of course it makes it very, very bumpy, and you can probably see the cars moving around over the bumps quite a lot. And that really does upset the balance of the car if you get slightly offline.
Audi 1-2, followed by John Young, and Young really is a bit of an unsung hero, isn't he? Very limited budget. It's only a small team. He's a real fan favorite, crowd favorite. He completely demolished his car here last year in the wet crashing with Carol Holfelder, and he missed some 3 or 4 races. We didn't see him for a long time, but the car's in great shape. Gets a little tailing down into 1, but he is hunting these Audis down.
He drives the wheels off that Ford, and he's got some mega horsepower under the hood there, I guarantee you that.
It wouldn't surprise me if he pulled this race off, because as long as he doesn't overdrive it to start with, let the thing settle down a bit, get his tires right, and just pick them off. And I think on the straight is where he can do it. Galati dropping back a wee bit from Pops there as he comes through onto the no-name straight.
That's something this racetrack will allow you to do, or it entices you to do, is to overdrive the racetrack, overdrive the car and use it up. You know, it's so much a momentum racetrack around here. If you abuse your car early, there will be nothing left toward the end.
Michael Culver's doing a nice job too. He is a local driver, knows his track very well. He sits 4th in the Porsche. His best World Challenge finish to date is 7th, and that was at Mosport last year. So that guy there in the 14 Porsche doing very well here this weekend.
Calver making it difficult for him by sort of blocking out that inside lane to stop Calver having a sniff, and you saw Calver has the horsepower or the aerodynamics to get by on the straight, and that surprises me. I thought the Mustang would be really pushing or pulling away from him, but he's not. Now and of course that's made John Young think about the Porsche, and it's let him drop back from the 2 Audis. Not what John Young wanted at all.
Well, you saw John Young definitely get defensive about turn 1. He knew the Porsche was there, didn't he? He started moving to the inside, and I'm not going to give you that.
Great diversity of cars. Dorsey talked you through the field earlier in the show, and you have 2 Audis leading a Celine Mustang, a Porsche, 2 Dodge Viper competition coupes, and then we go back to the first of the Cadillac CTSVs in 7th position.
And the whole key to high horsepower corners of cars are this corner. Can you get off this corner without the wheel spinning? Can you run all the way down the straightaway and use the horsepower you have? That time John Young had a pretty good run, but Culver all over him on the brakes.
Thinks about it on the inside, not quite close enough down into Big Bend. The 2 3R Interstate Inns teammates having a great scrap there. Tommy Archer and Phil McClure, and Leighton Reese is splitting the 2 Cadillacs at the moment, back in 8th place.
Of course, Leighton Reese has got a lot of miles around here in a Trans Am car. These cars are not that different from a Trans Am car, quite honestly.
No, I think John Young's car was very similar. We all thought a couple of years ago, because everybody's now advanced in that development, and we're seeing that a lot now. Cars are really, really very, very fast. What a shop window for manufacturers. There's no other series like it in America.
Let's get it down to the pits. Here's Calvin Fish.
Well, we saw Michael Galati have that big moment down in the downhill turn at the end of a lap. Ron Lewis, the one you're on the radio too, and what did he have to say about that?
Well, Michael said that his car's a little bit loose in the race, but it's very controlled. That
Very controllable. Didn't look very controllable there when he was in the dirt.
If he's happy, I'm happy. Our certified Audis are running up front right now, and we're real happy with that. This is a no team orders race, so you're going to see some action up front.
Wider front tire for you guys this year certainly has helped the handling. What do you expect over the long race distance here today?
The tires have helped us a lot. I tell you, have consistency now that's compared to other cars. We gave up some power to get that tire, but it was a good trade.
Okay, well, a good balance on the race car. They should be strong all day, Lee.
There's about a 1.5 second gap between race leader Randy Popes and this man here, Michael Galati, who had a weekend at Lime Rock 12 months ago he would rather not remember. But it's all going fairly smoothly today. But Randy, after being dealt a harsh blow at the opening round in Sebring, he's back. He said, I'm on the comeback trail. And look at him go today. The battle for third is still on between Young and Culver.
Also, I think you have to remember that these Audis with their front wheel, with all-wheel drive, it puts a heck of a lot of pressure on those front tires. And so that wider tire has given them an advantage. They don't overheat and they don't push as much. And as you know, I drove Audis for 3 years, and the push you get with all-wheel drive is really, really quite unpleasant.
And one of the things they've really worked hard to overcome is the exhaust placement. They've tried to relocate the exhaust and drop the rear of the car down just a bit to get the rake a little nicer, to take some of the pressure off that front.
Yeah, because the engine is so far up front, right over that front axle, it really makes the car pivot on the front. And it doesn't like to turn into the corner. Ever since the first day we drove them back in England before they brought them over, this is not the RS6, it's the S4, of course, I'm talking about, but the car doesn't want to initially get into the corner. It's always lazy turning in, and that's what they've had to try and overcome. But they've done a heck of a job with Champion. They are so good. They know the car so well now. Just watch this going on.
Michael Culver just really pounding John Young to death. Young not giving him the inside, but no, he's going to try to go. Oh, I'm glad he didn't do that.
But look at this pack catching them. You've got Tommy Archer, Phil McClure, the Cadillacs, but the guy that is on the biggest move in this field is car 88. Eric Curran was drafted into this team after Sebring. It's Peter Tonelli's car, he injured himself in an ATV accident, and Curran takes to the wheel. He started last from pit lane, you may remember that, and Curran is now running in 12th.
It's a long way. He's the one coming up through the... It's not easy to pass someone here. You can be quite a bit quicker, and once you catch them up, you're losing momentum, and then you're on the same speed again.
The only advantage he has is I would say his car has a lot of grunt. And you can get down that straight aerodynamically, it's a pretty good shape, and I think, you know, that does help him going down that straightaway.
Here he is.
I love being faster on the straightaway.
Easy, isn't it?
It's a much better deal.
Nice place to be. No talent required, just hold the wheel and go.
That's it.
Fastest lap of the race belongs to this guy. You may remember Eric Curran from last year. He raced in Team RTR's Nissan Sentra alongside multi-time champion Peter Cunningham. That ride went away for him this year, not through his own fault or own ability level, and he's driving in several different series this year, variety of cars. One thing's for sure, Eric Curran is fast, and he's demonstrated that here at Lime Rock today.
A real nice line right there through Big Bend, all the way through turn 2. Just let the car drift out, came right back down, hit his mark. Same way here. Getting the most out of it. He's using all the road, and one of the Audis off the top of the hill.
It's getting wild. The back of the car is loose on that car at the moment, but we've never had that with these cars before. We've never had the car with being able to get the tail out. It really must be rather pleasant, even though you've got to get hold of it. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd rather the back going than the front.
Yeah, they really worked hard to get the thing, the balance, you know, back in that direction.
Fairly spacious up front, isn't it? At least between the two Audis. There's now 2.5 seconds between Randy Pobst and Mike Gallardi. And there's some breathing space too for John Young. Mike Culver isn't as close as what he was. The order remains the same with Archer ahead of his teammate Phil McClure. Then it's Andy Pilgrim, Leighton Reese, Max Angelelli and Tony Gaples. Lou Gelotti's coming up through the field as well after Calvin mentioned his problems earlier.
It won't be long until Eric Curran catches this pack, because all these guys are doing pretty nice to each other, not going alongside in brake zones or anything like that. But they're not turning the laps that he is.
But he will find it more difficult to catch the faster guys up. It isn't quite as easy as he would have had to start with. He just needs the nice little yellow to pop him up with them, and then he'd be looking really good.
And you just don't realize how much car he's using going as quickly as he is to try to catch them up either. And like you say, once you get to the tail of the pack, you lose all that momentum, and then you're to their level.
Derek is a former competitor in this series and then a spectator, and now you're going to be a competitor again in the Volvo. Do you agree that the SCCA do a good job in terms of balancing all the varieties of cars? This is a great example. The 8 and the 16 of Pilgrim and Angelelli dominated Sebring like you wouldn't believe. They made some technical changes to them to balance them out, and now they're back in the field.
You're putting me on the spot here, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's great. I wish they hadn't allowed the Cadillacs to get so far away during the winter, during the last year of the development. I think that was a failure on their behalf, and I'm sure they're regretting it intensely. But to try and bring a car back with all that power, all that potential that they've got, is not easy for the SCCA. At the moment, it looks good, but of course, you know, I'm a driver and I've driven for teams where I know that you have to sometimes just sort of play it cool for a while to let the dust settle. And I have to feel that these guys are possibly doing a little of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the other side of the coin is these Cadillac have spent a fortune on this program, and then to be told that they're going to have to add weight and do this and do that is really galling, because they need to spend so much money on the program. And you know, if they knew in the first place which way they were headed, they could have saved themselves a lot of money. And I always feel that is the bad thing from the organisers, whether it be in the World Championship or the you know, GT World Series.
It's kind of interesting the manufacturers are looking at these racing cars nowadays. Cadillac, of course, a luxury brand. Now they're racing, as well as Volvo. I see Volvo's advertising is very pointed and aggressive.
Well, I mean, if you look, I mean, I have to say, I mean, when I first met my wife, Misty, she was driving a Volvo, and I said, Misty, I can't go to the girl that drives the Volvo, you know. And here I am, you know, now we're married, and of course I love the Volvo because they've changed their image. The car is in much better shape. I mean, it's sporty looking. And, you know, here we are going motor racing over here. So one has to say they have changed their image. But I tell you, when they strip the car down, our cars for this season, the way they are built and the strength in them is immense.
Great scrap going on here. Tremendous scrap from 5th back through 9th.
Culver shows his nose, but that's just to aggravate. It wasn't an intention to make a pass. He just, I think, surely just did that to make sure that Young knew he was still back there.
Yeah, what he should be doing is really trying to suss out whether he can benefit from this overtaking, which he obviously hasn't been able to, because, oh, no, certainly he's lost out on it. Now John Young's got a breathing space to get away because of that slower car.
Tadel El Sayed in the Viper competition coupe. Tommy Archer has been able to capitalise on that beautifully. Archer's all over him now. Thinks about an inside run on Michael Culver. Oh, we've lost John Young. Young gets sideways and saves it.
That was a horrible place to lose it.
But he lost his position. He's lost 2 places through it.
Oh, my goodness.
What a frightening place.
That was a horrible place to get loose on the uphill. That's the first time I've ever seen anybody not crash when they've gotten loose on them.
John Young is getting his breath back, I think.
It makes you wonder whether perhaps he just looks in his mirror to see what was going on behind and he lost that second of concentration. Now look, the Cadillacs are right up there. Look at this group going down the straight.
Leighton Reese, they're 3 abreast. Leighton Reese now puts the pressure on. The caddies try and get past McClure. McClure tries on Young. Great racing in the Speed GT Championship.
Oh, my goodness. These are big cars, big heavy cars, and you don't have that much room around this racetrack to be going side by side like they're doing right now.
But they're a good class of drivers, isn't it? I mean, the quality of drivers is improving every race. It's fabulous to see. It was a bit shoddy at times in the past, and now you're seeing some really good drivers out there in good machinery and making it work.
Anxious moment for John Young, Calvin.
He was down here with his crew chief, Rich Kaufman, and he had a brilliant start, got it from 9th all the way up to 3rd. Now we believe John is on the radio turn. What's the problem out there right now? He's got kind of bullied around a bit.
He said looks like just now he just rated in that his back tire is coming down a little bit, he thinks, so he's going to probably come in.
Okay, well, that may explain the big oversteer moment that he had out there. Lee, they're going to try and see what's going on, get him in here, but as Dorsey said earlier, you make a pit stop under green here, you immediately lose a lap.
Yeah, sadly, that car looks like a real handful at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you, if you get a puncture in the left rear and it starts going down around this racetrack, forget it. No way in the world you're going to overcome that.
Oh, no. And of course, there's only one left-hand turn on it, and it's the right-hand rear that's doing the work the whole way around this circuit. And you could see the car actually moving a lot more on that left rear as he goes around the corners over the bumps.
That second time he went up the uphill after he almost crashed here, he gave it a lot of credence, didn't he? He did not attack that corner. We'll watch right here.
But he was still out wide.
Yeah, he's very wide.
On this, just to the last, not this one.
Andy Pilgrim in the number 8 Cadillac CTSV runs 8th at the moment. His teammate Max Angelelli, the winner of round 1, sits 9th. That looked like Phil McClure making a move, or maybe it was on a lap car.
You know, if you're John Young right now, what you have to do is just take some deep breaths and just start going around a little bit slower, feel the car out, see, you know, maybe it's a tire, maybe it's not a tire at all, maybe just had some pickup.
Well, he had been driving very, very hard, and a bit of pickup and get a bit of a vibration, that goes, but at the same time you lose some confidence in it, don't you?
Absolutely.
And you get in that turn round the bottom there and you think, well, what's this? And it kicks out a bit, and you, oh, don't like that, slide it more, and it takes you a while, and you go, there's nothing wrong after all.
I would have lost a lot more than confidence on that uphill slide, I'm afraid.
Underwear syndrome.
Yes, exactly.
Pilgrim, Angelelli. There's Phil McClure, who's in 6th now. As they move up several positions, the revised order is post. He's now 4 seconds ahead of his teammate Michael Galati. From Mike Culver, Tommy Archer is all over him. And then Leighton Reese sits in the top 5. We go back up front to our race leader, doing a wonderful job.
And you look right there at the 2 Audis as they come down the downhill. Randy Pope's car, very, very straight. Michael Galati, still tail out attitude coming down off that corner. So maybe a change in the setup of the 2 cars. I don't know, Derek, you drove for this team before too. Do they run things exactly the same? Or?
No, not at all. They drive it the way that, I mean, they talk about everything, overlay their laps and talk about it. At the end of the day, it's up to the driver's decision, a la Ferrari with, you know, with Schumacher and, you know, his teammate. I mean, they both go for the same basic setup and then go their own directions. The thing you must remember is it's a lot warmer out there today than it was on Saturday and Friday when it was basically raining. And now we might be finding a different characteristic coming out of these tyres. And it could well be that those front tyres are actually working too well for them. And they're gripping too much and the back's out, they're sliding. You know.
Tommy Archer's a driver who was involved with your son and Justin Bell in the Orica days, in the Vipers.
Well, they won Le Mans together in the GT class, yeah. Yeah, no, he's a really nice guy. I was talking to him a lot yesterday.
Leighton Reese in trouble. He's coming in the pits here, guys.
Reese is in.
And Tommy was saying just, you know, how much understeer he had in the car. So, and you don't need an understeer. I mean, understeer is a nice thing to make it conservative, but when you want to charge, you don't need understeer, particularly around here.
They're attending to Leighton Reese, and he's been running so strong in this race. Was in 5th position and pressuring Tommy Archer for 4th.
Well, like I say, with a 54-second lap, he's about to be a lap down before it looks like they've even done anything to the car.
Updating you further back in the field, Eric Curran has come from dead last to 10th. He continues his charge and holds the fastest race lap.
I think I'd like to be Randy Popst right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Big lead. Don't have to worry about that. The car, look at it here through the corner. Flat, no oversteer. Looks really, really well balanced.
The point about these cars is you have to drive an all-wheel drive car immaculately. You have to be so precise on your line. And when you're on your own the way he is, he can drive it precisely in exactly where he wants it. When you've got somebody hounding you, you can't do that. And that leads to mistakes. Whether Michael's was an error, we won't know. Only he knows. But he was pushing like crazy down there, and they can't get down that hill flat out. So, he probably tried to take it flat, and out he went.
John Young has stayed out on track. He has not come in as yet, and he's only 2 cars ahead of this man, Eric Curran. There's Tony Gaples in the Black Dog Racing Corvette, the silver machine, just behind John Young. So there's another 2 positions here, perhaps, for Eric Curran to gain.
Curran will be there in 1 lap. He's going to be right in back.
John Young now he dropped to doing 58-second laps. He's now back to doing 56s. So it shows that his car's possibly improved a little bit.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I think he ran so hard so early that he overheated that left rear pretty badly. Now he's got it back in check and can start going again.
Well, he had a moment, and every corner you go around here is left is a right-hander, so the last thing you do is be brave.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be facing the wrong direction.
Takes the defensive line down into turn 1. Tony Gaples trying to go around him, does go around him. But watch for this Viper competition coupe in the background. As Dorsey said, Curran will be there momentarily.
I think Young's still struggling a bit with the car. It's off just a little bit, but it doesn't take much here if you're off before everybody's pouncing on you, which is what's happening here.
Right now, he's just got to drive to get a finish, because as you so rightly said, if he goes in the pits, that's it. Good night. He's going to be a lap behind before he gets out again. So.
And this is a really rough old racetrack. I mean, it hammers the suspension, no question about it. We don't know that maybe he's broken his rotor or something like that. Some little thing that's just making it not quite as pleasant as he'd like.
We're over the halfway mark in this race, 46 laps or 50 minutes, whichever comes first. And I think the time will beat us today due to that caution earlier in the race. And Mike Culver has made up tremendous ground on Michael Gallardi. Gallardi has stepped up his lap times, I think, obviously because he saw Culver coming. But the guy sitting third is looking at his best ever Speed World Challenge position if he can stay where he is and get that result.
He lapped three-quarters of a second quicker than Michael on that last lap. So, you may well be that Michael isn't finding this combination. Remember, they haven't done any laps here, and they didn't get a very tight line either. It means the car wasn't pointing. Michael couldn't get it into the corner.
We locked the front brake up just momentarily, and that pushed him wide of his apex.
I think Calvo will get him on the straight this time if he's cool going down the hill. Gets a nice line onto the straight. He should draft by him.
Culver's Porsche really looked good on the infield, down turn 2, 3, 4 area. That really looks very agile. See if he locks his brake up again down here in turn 1.
Here he goes.
Lining him up. No, he's not close enough. Michael Gallardi will hold on to second for the moment. Word from the pits is that rear end problems for Leighton Reese's car. So that's paid to his efforts. Phil McClure has done a good job further back to catch Tommy Archer as well, the 2-3R teammates.
There was a lockup again off of Gallardi's car. It looks like the front wheel lockup, but that's two times now.
Yeah, but I'm sure he can adjust it. He could have adjusted that out if he wanted to. The thing I think that Calvert's got to do, he's not that. I mean, he's not that experienced. One has to say he's good, but he knows this track very well. But right now, it's a driver to do with circuit knowledge. He's got to really tow off the back of Michael and get down this hill super fast, pick up pace going through, and really draft. Last time he pulled out like half a car width out, and he wasn't getting the benefit of the tow. You see, he's got to tuck in behind him and snap out. He's not doing it now, you see. He's got to get in behind.
Oh,
whoa. BMW.
That's Tom Stewart in the 7. He's able to get it going. You might recognize the familiar color scheme, the red, black, and white of PTG. That's a ex-PTG BMW.
That smoke is suspicious to me for some reason. I don't know.
Spinning on his own oil.
Here's a big spin, but I think that smoke is indeed going to be oil or something like it. Surely shouldn't hang around that tire smoke like that.
No, exactly. It's really still lingering, isn't it?
Could be day done for Tom Stewart. Positions remain the same. There's been nobody passing, but they are certainly getting a lot closer. Culver on Gallardi and Eric Curran on Gaples. Calvin, what do you have for us?
Well, we're down here in the pits, and Leighton Reese, telltale sign from the rear end of the car, some oil. Is that what put you out?
Yeah, real shame. I think it was due to the start. You know, Gallardi balked on the start, and I double-dipped the clutch, and a little too much grief. But, man, I feel sorry for the banner. Guys, we got a lot of guests here. My crew chief, Joe Cantera, gave me a great car. We passed the cars like crazy. But we'll get them another day. The Corvette, just an awesome sports car. But just one of those deals, a racing deal. We'll be back. We've proved we can get to the front of this stuff, so what can you say?
Well, tough day for these boys, but they will be back. Really strong at Sebring, top 10 finish there. And they'll bounce back at the next one in Mid-Ohio, Lee.
Yep. Encouraging opening part of the race for Leighton Reese. Now look at this. Phil McClure is coming under increasing pressure from the Cadillacs. Have they just been playing it cool for a little while and will storm home late? We'll find out.
Won't we ever?
Phil's going to find out before we do.
Yes, he is.
I'm afraid.
I quite enjoyed the general consensus and words that people had to say. Maybe they would not have been, I don't want to use punished, but they may not have been leveled or equalized as harshly at Sebring if Andy Pilgrim, who's making a move now on Phil McClure, inside run, he's there. Great positioning down into turn one. So Pilgrim gets McClure and Angelelli files through as well. Everyone was saying they may not have been leveled so harshly if Andy didn't drive from last to second.
Without a doubt. I mean, it was a great drive, but it wasn't the brightest drive as far as technicalities for the future. It doesn't endear yourself to the SCCA.
Look here down the downhill. There's Phil in the Corvette. That Andy's already got a run going. He's inside of him clearly before the apex. Nothing he can do. The bad news is he's bringing his teammate right alongside with him.
Yeah.
And you lose 2 positions, not 1.
Now they begin the gang up on Tommy Archer. Well, we've lost Jason Martinelli. He has spun as well.
I don't think any damage done to the BMW. It doesn't look like he's in the wall. He's just up there close to it.
He's not doing a great job of pulling away at the moment. Like he keeps sort of trying to get it in gear.
Here's Martinelli. Oh, he goes off
what
at the
a
top
place
of the
to be.
downhill. Oops.
Not very pleasant. Oh, and he loses. That's a nasty feel.
That's a really nasty feel. Because you got so long to slide before you think you're going to hit.
That's right.
He's lucky he doesn't hit here.
Do you remember when Davy Jones went off there in the sports car in the Jag? Wasn't it the Jag? Oh, dear, that was so big.
And he has not even contacted the tyre barrier.
No.
So Jason Martinelli, very fortunate.
Sorry.
He actually is very fortunate. To lose it at the top of the downhill and not impact anything is almost impossible.
He can't stay there for the race, that's for sure. They might have to put the caution out, I think, to clear him out of the way, because he's right in a terribly dangerous situation there.
Round comes race leader Randy Popes to put a lap on Bob Woodhouse. And further back, Michael Culver continues to pressure Mike Gallardi, but has not been able to execute that move.
Bob Woodhouse does not want to go a lap down. He's,
Is that Bob? No, Bob's still on track.
It wasn't Bob, but it was somebody.
Somebody just dropped a wheel off, perhaps. The dust was flying, though.
It wasn't Bob. He's struggling for his life right now to stay on the lead lap.
30 laps down already in the second round of the 2004 Speed World Challenge GT Championship. Randy Popes, who has won here at Lime Rock before in GT Series racing. That was back in 2002.
Randy being bought.
Come on, give him room. They're not being very polite down there.
No, and look, because of the result of that, now you've got Gallardi coming along.
Yeah. Oh, Michael's
and
going to have
and Culver's going to be right there with him.
Yeah, I mean, just one break for this, and Culver's going to have a real crack at Michael if he can get momentum down the hill, but it's not going to happen for him this lap. But they've still got to get by these two, and look at the speed of them. Pop still can't get by. He had to back off a little bit, I think, at the bottom of the hill, as he wasn't going to get around.
Look at Culver. Culver thinks about it on Gallardi, but he's not close enough either.
Well, they're going to get stacked up this lap because none of them have cleared the lap Porsche. They're inside of it, but they're going to really be slow as a result.
Randy Pope still cannot get by Bob Woodhouse.
Look at this.
And this is allowing Gallardi and Culver to come on up.
He's got down the inside of one of them.
Further back in the field, Max Angelelli is making a move. He's got past his teammate Andy Pilgrim and Tommy Archer.
Oh, did he move out of the way or what? Somebody caught him on the radio and said, "Get out of the way, son."
Now it's up to Mike Gallardi and Mike Culver. Oh, Gallardi gets sideways again.
Michael's setup, I think, is just way loose. Way looser than Randy Popes.
Now he goes. He's done exactly what he did at the beginning of the race.
He's lost it.
Sideways 3 times in this race, twice in the same position.
Yeah, it's getting a bit too heated out there. I mean, I'm not driving the car, so it probably isn't handling that well either. Let's watch it again.
Oh, the same place downhill.
That's Brandy.
Actually, that's the good car. That's Randy. But look at the difference in line. Michael's already clearly going off the road as soon as you see him in the picture.
Whoa.
But I think Michael was pretty much upset by these two cars in front. He was trying to carry the speed.
Right,
and of course he realized in the middle that there wasn't really anywhere much to go.
Well, he saw what happened up front, that they got boxed so bad, and if he could have really made that pass stick, he would have made it.
Here's Angelelli coming down.
Yeah.
That was what the Cadillacs going to do.
They've been biding their time. Angelelli.
Of course, he's got a 1 full year of testing in this car before it even made its first race.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's find out more on the Cadillacs. Here's Calvin Fish.
Down here with David Spitzer, program manager for the Cadillac effort here. And David, certainly you've had some handicap here since Sebring in round 1, but the boys are doing a very patient job, it seems, today out there for you.
Absolutely, that's all we can do. The cars are a little heavier, as you said, they were at Sebring, but we're happy so far. Everything's going good. We got great drivers, and I don't know what's going on behind me, but it's a pretty action-packed race for the fans. It's what SCCA wants, so we're doing okay.
Any concerns when you see your two drivers running that close together as they just did down in turn 1?
Oh, you betcha. No, they get along real well, but anytime you get two cars like that together, it's a little bit scary, but that's what it's all about. I mean, it's fun. I hope the fans are enjoying it.
Certainly putting on a great show, and as we know, Lee, Max Angelelli is the king of the late breakers.
Max the Axe, he's catching, and he's catching fast. He hasn't set the quickest lap of the race, but he's very consistent, Derek, in the 55s.
Yes, he's motoring along very well. When you consider Pop's quickest was a 54.9. But of course that was early on when the tires were sharp. Now they're losing some of that grip and the track's getting more rubber on it. So they have to be a bit more cautious and not overdo the tires.
It was Michael Galati off the outside of downhill again. So blame me you. He's driving his wheels off right now trying to stay on the road.
Something's happened to Michael Culver.
That's what I thought I'd seen before. When we saw that long shot right up here in this left-hander, I think Michael Culver's gone off. We'll know here in just a moment.
Culver has disappeared from the timing monitor.
It happened right in that corner. We just lost it out of the frame, but I saw what I thought was his car. Now that he's gone, I am sure it was his car. It was off there.
I think one has to remember that the Porsche, again, rather like the Audi has its engine over the front wheels, the Porsche has engine and gearbox behind the center line of the rear wheels. Oh, there he is.
There he is. So he's dropped from 2nd up back to 7th.
And it was a simple spin in the left-hander that caused that. Obviously, he didn't go out as far as the Cadillac at the beginning of the show, so he didn't get stuck. However, he sure lost a lot of position.
But you know, it's those rear tires do such a lot of work. And the car, I don't know about you, but when you drive those cars, the back is moving around a lot. And you've only got to hit a bump wrong when you're on a bit of opposite lock and you're off the road. I mean, there's no grabbing it back.
Let's find out more about the Culver situation. Here's Cal.
Well, the man overseeing Culver is Todd Ketchum. And Todd, what's the situation on the racetrack for Mike right now?
Well, Michael's doing real good. We finally got around Galati, and we were going to run Popes down, but he made a slight mistake and went off. And now we're just going to hopefully try to catch back up. Cadillacs were starting to come after us, and he made a slight mistake.
Certainly Lime Rock is his favorite racetrack, but you boys have been doing a lot of testing. I know you've been to Mid-Ohio. Can we expect to see another strong performance from Mike in the season?
We planned for it. We went there testing so we could get a heads up on what we need to do so we can have the same results here.
All right, Todd, great run today nonetheless. Hang in there.
We watch with much interest. Can the Cadillac catch the Audi? You kind of think so. There's a lap car in between. That's Bob Woodhouse in the Viper. But watch the red car and the black car.
The Angelelli is turning the quickest laps of the race until this moment. Of course, he's now going to be slowed down. And both he and Galati are very slowed down.
Stationary yellow.
Locking again for Michael.
And Woodhouse got caught off by it too. Almost spun the Viper right in front of Angelelli.
Now, Angelelli is not the most patient guy on a racetrack, so he makes short work of that. Now he's got to get past Adel El Sayed, and then he can take a look at Mike Galati.
And Michael Galati just holding on for dear life right now. That car not happy whatsoever.
Galati's been able to disappear a little. He's been able to escape. Look at Angelelli is becoming impatient with El Sayed. Look at this now. Tommy Archer's back up in the mix as well. He's caught Angelelli very quickly.
Some lose and some gain. There's a bit of gaining going on there right now.
Oh, Pilgrim got blocked
Boy, Woodhouse
severely.
blocked him big time on the downhill. Just ran him right to the inside. That will not make Andy healthy.
Well, you see, again, we get back to the sort of the guys at the back haven't got that experience yet. I mean, they have to gain it somewhere, but they're gaining it rapidly here, but mostly at the expense of the quicker cars. Oh, they're giving
full course caution. Full course caution. Randy Pope still leads the way, but this is our second caution of the race.
This will be interesting now that everybody's going to get caught up with one another, because The Audis are not the fastest cars right now on the racetrack.
No, is there a, I can't quite see it, there's a car behind Michael? Yeah, there is. There's a Porsche between him and Mad Max, so, you know, we've got that. She's got to overtake him before he attacks Gallardi, otherwise he could probably take mincemeat.
It's been 35 laps since our first caution. Not often do we always get full course cautions in Speed World Challenge racing, so the field is compacted and the battle will be on. Angelelli still has a chance of winning this one and could be back-to-back victors. We'll take a quick break from Lime Rock and come back with the finish.
The new BMW 6 Series, the ultimate driving machine.
65, John Groom being towed back on track here at Lime Rock Park. Welcome back to HDNet's live coverage of the second round of the SCCA Speed World Challenge GT Championship. Here's the replay.
Oh boy, he got a big slide going off. He's going to go into the wall here. I noticed the right front tire wasn't turning as they were towing that car. Oh yeah, he's gone into the tire barrier.
How did he get out there?
He must have gone off the outside of turn 2 and then hooked across because he was headed the wrong direction.
He was in the wrong direction. I mean, I can see if he lost it there, but to lose it back up there, he must have had the tail out really wide at one place and upset the balance so much.
And you look at the right front right there, it's not rolling, so significant damage to the suspension under there.
That's a pity because he drove really well this weekend, didn't he?
They're going to throw him behind this guardrail and just leave him there for the remainder.
Yeah.
There's not much time left.
No.
So John Groom's day comes to a premature end, and the field behind the pace car, there's one lapped car. See the Porsche there, the third car in shot. That is a lapped car separating second place Mike Gallardi and third place Max Angelelli. They're on the charge. What do the CTSVs have here in the end? Pilgrim, certainly you have to feel sorry for Andy Pilgrim because he got so badly caught up in that lap traffic, and he and Angelelli have been running together the whole race long. Now they're separated. Just Tommy Archer in between, but there's many other cars in between in terms of the order.
Well, hopefully they'll tell the driver of this Porsche that there's not much time left for these guys. Those are the leaders getting ready. Just stay out their way. They might tell him that. I don't know.
I must say some of these drivers need a little bit of discussion with the direction of course, because there's some pretty bad apish drivers driving going on back in the field. They don't seem to know what to do when faster cars come up.
Green flies here at Lime Rock. We're back under racing.
Gallardi goes.
And Mike Gallardi gets a shot at his teammate, but Randy Popes will hold the inside line. Angelelli is defending, and he tries to go on the inside. He collects that lapped car. It spins down in turn 1. Like I said, Angelelli not the most patient driver, and he pounced on the inside.
Well, you can't let that happen. I mean, the Porsche should have known. He should have got out of the way. He didn't. Yeah. Max is aggressive driver. He had to make that pass stick. He did the right thing by driving in there.
Max was totally right. This guy should have just kept out to the outside and let the other guys go by. I mean, you know, they must learn from this. He's learned. He'll learn from that.
Bad
but
news
very naive.
Is that there's going to be another caution, because look at that right rear wheel completely bent all up. I don't think he'll be able to go very far.
Drive out of the way.
Maybe he can just drive out of the way and get out of the way, and that'll be okay.
That's John Barassa, but up at the front, here's Eric Curran. He's starting to storm through as well. Angelelli had Tommy Archer all over him. This is Stu Hayner and Sonny Whelan. This is further back in the pack. Stu Hayner's running 17th at the moment. Sonny Whelan just ahead, but back at the front, 1-2, Audi for Champion Racing. It's poleman Randy Popes from Gallardi and Angelelli third.
Almost looks like Gallardi's car is better after that caution period. Maybe the tires cooled down. Doesn't look like he's quite as loose as he was when he'd been running after green for a long way.
Well, they're not. I mean, they haven't been doing very, very fast times. Randy's been playing it very cool up front because he had a nice break. Michael got the chance then under yellow. It wasn't a long yellow, there wasn't.
No,
I mean,
really
not that much time to cool down. But also he had time to collect his thoughts, but he's got to do a lot of collecting because he's got, Angelelli not far behind.
And clear road for Angelelli lead means that whatever that Cadillac's capable of, he'll get it out of it right now.
It'd be cool for them to get a second out of this. That's what I would have thought they were working on.
One of the big charges in this race, Michael Culver. Randy Popes now puts the wheel slightly off. Culver's best Speed World Challenge result has been 7th. He now sits in that position. Another full-course caution.
And underneath Angelelli's car, there is some damage. Something hanging out from underneath the Cadillac. On the long shot down the downhill, I could see it. Don't know what it is, but he's was trailing. There is something dragging right in the center of the car.
Now, is that Tony Gaples off the side of the circuit there?
Well, that's a bad place to be off, and that's what's caused this yellow, I'm sure, because if you fall off there, that's where you end up.
One has to say that pace car pulls out pretty sharply in front of the lead car. I mean, I know we're up at a long shot with the camera, but
look at the left front of Angelelli. He's made contact with someone.
That was Barassa in the turn one.
There's probably just a bit of fiberglass or carbon fiber underneath the car that's dragging on the ground.
Now this restart is going to be a telling time for the Audis, I'm afraid to say.
Definitely. Now, if you look there, what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Look at Andy Pilgrim coming up alongside Bob Woodhouse, and he's saying, "You're a lapped car. Stop giving me so much grief and let me by."
He might have said more than that. But that's exactly. Oh, we've had damage there.
Here's the replay. Angelelli. Bang.
Yeah, it was just a very naive, immature move, wasn't it, by the Porsche?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, he's coming up there. I mean, it's factory driver and a good car. I saw on the uphill corner, however, and you did too, Derek, someone's crashed there big and gone on, but there's a lot of car pieces laying there.
This should be a quick caution. We're running out of time. In fact, there's less than 10 minutes remaining in this race. The 50-minute time.
We shut the door now. Does that mean he started? It looks like the driver might have left. Is he having trouble shutting?
They attend to that situation. Let's get down to the pits and hear more about the Audis. Here's Calvin.
Down here, James Booty is on the radio to Randy Post, our leader right now. James, I know Randy is very curious to know what sort of lap times those Cadillacs are running. What have you been able to tell him?
We're just keeping him apprised of his gap. Just tell him to go for it. He's got a good car. It's running strong. He's working hard out there.
Randy's pretty candy. Does he think those caddies have something in the bag yet to show today?
Well, we don't know. We're going to find out in about 3 more laps.
Talk us through, when they get these caution periods, the tires, the car cools down a little bit. Is that good for the Audi at this stage of the race or bad? How do you read it?
It's good. Definitely good. Gives everything just a chance to cool down.
Okay, well, they're excited down here. They're going to try and rebound from that disappointment at Sebring, Lee.
Well, it'll be interesting, guys, to see how this one finishes, because we've only got 3 laps to go. It's a 46-lap race. We should actually beat the time limit of 50 minutes. But they've got to get this caution cleaned up quickly.
They have. I mean, they've got to pull that guy out backwards, and it's not that easy. And then they're going to tow it across somewhere and hide it for a while. But nobody seems to be paying much attention to it at the moment. They were backed up to it, but they've got to speed on a bit because we're trying to see a really great finish here.
Look here, down here at the bottom of the guardrail. Somebody's crashed. It looks like an axle sitting there, part of a car or something.
Looks like it's left over from Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, could be party debris from Saturday.
It's not a good place to be. I went back and seen there one day. It's not a nice spot, is it?
Not a good spot.
Now, if this was a standing start, you would say that Angelelli has absolutely no chance of getting by the Audis. What about on the restart, though? A rolling restart. Still no chance?
Oh, he's got a chance. He'll storm it. I mean, I know how Michael starts. Michael's really good at doing these starts, you know, coming down with the foot on the brakes and the foot on the power. And just you've got to pick that in a certain moment to get the torque of the engine. The cars have a lot of torque, much more than we had in the S4s, but I would have to say that that car behind with immediate response should take Michael.
It was an all Cadillac affair in Sebring. It was a 1-2 for Cadillac CTSVs. The moment we're looking at an Audi 1-2.
Michael would have seen what happened last lap with Angelelli in that Porsche, knowing that he's going to have to defend that inside line. Don't give that to him. There's what I'm talking about. That's part of a race car stuffed in the uphill corner. Oof. Big pieces of a car. And I don't know if they're going to have to attend to that.
It should be all right. It's fiberglass, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't an axle after all. It was just a big hunk of somebody's under tray, looks like.
They still haven't moved that car.
Cars spread all over this circuit. They're still attending to Tony Gaples. Once that gets cleaned up, we'll go back to racing, but we are fast approaching the finish of this race.
Light's still on the pace truck as well, which means they're not going to go this lap.
Oh, they've got it online, so you're about to pull. Come on, guys. I mean, believe me, they tried to get out as quick as they can.
There was the car that hit the guardrail. That was a Viper, one of the Vipers with the whole back end torn off, and it matches the color.
He went by. All right.
Yeah, so he's still going, that car. The guy.
You wouldn't think anything would go after that impact. It looked terrible.
He has no back of the car left, though, but he's still going.
I have to say they've done a wonderful job with those Vipers. If you look to them closely,
beautiful car.
Beautiful car. When you can go and buy one for like, what is it, 130,000 or something, and it's fantastic.
Well, while we still circulate under caution, we're going to take a quick break from Lime Rock while this mess gets cleaned up. When we come back, we will definitely take you to the checkered flag.
Whoa.
Never in a million years.
Never gonna happen.
Never say never. Now lease a 3 Series for $299 a month. Visit your BMW Center for a test drive.
Oh, that's sad.
Back at Lime Rock, and they get the white flag as well as the full course caution. We will not go back to racing, sadly. This race will conclude under the yellow flag, so it's always disappointing. We all love racing to the checkered flag. As you see them on track now is how they will finish.
The only happy one about that whole deal is Randy.
Yeah.
The rest of these guys all think they had a shot at it, don't
That's
they?
right. Michael will be quite pleased too, I reckon.
Well, that's 2 podiums to get the year started, isn't it?
Right.
So too for Max Angelelli, a first and a third for Angelelli. This championship for 2004 is very, very exciting. There's world-class machinery at the front of this pack. And we say thank you to Derek Bell as he steps from the HDNet announce booth, and we look forward to seeing Derek later in the year, perhaps Mid-Ohio, perhaps the Californian event in his new Volvo, and he will be competing in this, the Speed World Challenge GT Championship.
I wonder if he's got to give it to his wife when he's done with it on Sunday.
We look forward to seeing whether the Volvo is competitive right out of the box up against the likes of the Audis, the Cadillacs, the Dodge competition coupes. And there's Eric Curran, the red Viper there, just going out of shot. Holds the fastest lap of the race. Impressive too, at 53. The nearest one closest to him, Randy Popes, at a 54.9. So that's stunning from Eric Curran.
That 53 is, I believe, a new track record as well. And that is faster than anyone qualified.
He was desperately disappointed when he lost his ride in the Touring Car Championship last year, but he said, I can drive, and when he gets good equipment, just look at what the young man can do. There's Phil McClure. Phil will bag a top 6 place just behind Andy Pilgrim, but Eric Curran, the fast man, as they come around to get the checkered flag with the caution as well. And it was Cadillac 1-2 in Sebring. It's Audi 1-2 here in Lime Rock. They couldn't do it last year, but they've done it in 2004. Randy Popes victorious again. He picks up his 9th World Challenge career victory and gets his championship back on track. Audi 1-2, followed by Angelelli. Tommy Archer gets his best result of the year so far, and Andy Pilgrim rounds out the top 5. So Randy Popes, great stuff from pole to victory lane.
Had the best seat in the house, never really did get any trouble. Everything behind him was in all sorts of trouble throughout the race. So Randy, doing what Randy does, you see how smoothly he can drive a race car.
Yeah.
He just really, really does a good job.
The day could have gone very, very sideways and ugly for the man in the number 2 there. Mike Gallardi had 3 very close shaves, didn't he?
He did, and he was holding on for dear life there. Maybe that caution saved him. It certainly looked like he had more car underneath him after it cooled down. But, and you're right, he probably is thinking, okay, I'm glad it ended this way, because I don't know if I could have kept Angelelli behind much longer. Max, on the other hand, you know, is got the feeling right now, doggone it, that's not right. They should let me have a go at it. I was right there, you know.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, though, isn't it?
So an eventful race here at Lime Rock in the Speed GT Championship, that's for sure. 2 leaders, and the only 2 cars that led were Audi RS6s. Mike Culver will be thinking about what could have been. He ended up 7th, his equal best World Challenge result, but he was there. He was in 2nd momentarily, but then threw it away. Now Victor Randy Popes comes back, and he did what he did back in 2002. That's winning the GT race here at Lime Rock Park.
They can just drive that thing right up in the transport and head on to the next race.
Yeah, it's good.
He didn't even get it dirty.
Next event on the calendar too will be at Mid-Ohio, at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Another undulating and very challenging circuit on the Speed World Challenge Tour. So the champion Audi boys from Pompano Beach, Florida will be delighted with that.
They'll come to Mid-Ohio a little bit fatter.
Yeah.
As they'll get some reward weight added to the vehicle. Should equalize the whole pack back up again.
And the rewards weight is simply some additional weight to just bring them back to the field, to make sure that every car has a chance at victory, and if they're on a level playing field right throughout the field.
You see it right above the name, Matt Brandy's name, but the next car that you see, Galati, says plus 45, and that means he's got 45 pounds of additional weight added on. So now Popes will also.
And that was for his 3rd place at Sebring earlier this year in March. Randy will get the maximum amount, which is now 75 pounds. There's Sonny Whelan, who also competed in the Bush North Series race here 2 days ago in the 81 Viper. He's making his way back to pit lane.
And he's the one that hit the uphill and tore the back of that car off. The colors match.
And here's our reigning Speed World Challenge champion and our most recent race winner. Randy Popes for champion Audi, and they get back on track. Last year, as far as the wins, Randy had 2. He was very consistent last year, but he ended the year with a win in Puerto Rico, and now at round 2 of the year, he gets it back on track.
Hey, beautiful, beautiful.
Well, Calvin Fisher's there with our race winner. Cal?
Randy Popes, great way to get it back on track, but Michael Galati. Big kiss there from Melissa Gruner. Randy, Michael Galati certainly got your attention with the jump start there. Well, not a jump start, but a better start than you, and then that lurid slide. Talk about that first lap or two.
Well, somebody jumped the start, and I had somebody parked next to me, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, what's that? Oh, yeah, the lights, and I didn't get a good jump. But it's great revenge for certified pre-owned Audi to come back and get a 1-2. First lap was wild. I think I just came out with a better setup, although it's a lot easier to follow than it is to lead. And I learned a lot just following Michael. He charged in and slid around a little bit. I said, I think I'm going to stay hooked up. And once I got by him, that worked.
I know you're on the radio talking to James about the pace of the Cadillacs. You were certainly concerned about them. I think you think they kind of had something left.
Absolutely, they were coming. And I think that they're going to be good competition all year. You know, they knocked us out at Sebring, and we came right back in the second round. We got 8 rounds to go for Certified Audi and Champion Racing. It's going to be a heck of a season. Don't miss it.
All right, Randy, great job today, mate.
Thanks, Calvin.
Tremendous effort from our reigning champion. Looks like he did it fairly comfortably as well. Dorsey, I know you would have liked to have seen them in a couple of lap sprint at the end there.
I would have liked to have seen them because it would have showed us some more that we don't know right now. Max Angelelli certainly was closing in. There's no question about it. Would he have had enough to go by? I don't know. It's Randy would tell you politically, oh, yeah, they were getting there. But look at Tommy Archer. Great job there. There's Andy Pilgrim, the other one. Phil McClure, the other Corvette, did a great job. Michael Culver, without that mistake, could have been a second-place car.
And on the right-hand side, the positions in which they started. And that highlights Tommy Archer, 12th to 4th. Outstanding effort. Nice work from him. John Young was a star early on in this race, but perhaps just worked his tyres a little too hard earlier in. And Tim Weens did a nice job coming from 20th to 12th to pick up some valuable championship points. Bob Woodhouse was a topic of conversation in 15th. He was not on the same lap as the race leaders and certainly caused them to work a little harder, Dorsey.
Stu Hayner in that Pontiac GTO, he's down further than what he wants, but that's a developmental situation. It's going to be toward the front before he's done.
It was a Cadillac 1-2 in Sebring. It was an Audi 1-2 here today at Lime Rock. Let's hear from the second-place driver. He's with Calvin.
Down here with Michael Galati. Michael, there's going to be a lot of highlights this year, but that slide he goes down the hill was something else, mate. Talk us through it.
I got to tell you, the pre-owned certified Audi RS6 champion did a fantastic job. The car is awesome. I got down. I mean, I went keep and slide. I'm like, oh, this is keep and going. But
Lewis said you said it was a controllable oversteer. It didn't look very controllable.
Yeah, it was. I thought I was doing rally for a while, but I wasn't going that way. I was going sideways, so I think I was losing a little bit of time. But you know, we know they were coming. We know our cars are early on. It's really quick, and so we're trying to put a little bit of room because I know the Cadillac and the other guys were gonna catch up later on, and that's what happened. So we were trying really hard early on, and then traffic played a big part of it. I mean, it was just 5 o'clock traffic, and some of the guys who got on the way. I mean, I had a couple close calls. A couple times I went off. I mean, it was tough race, as usual, Lime Rock, you know. But that's fantastic. Congratulations, my teammate Randy. 1-2 for Audi. We're back on top.
All right, mate. Great drive. 2 podiums in a row for Michael Galati.
And it's getting better and better with each race, isn't it? 3rd at Sebring, 2nd here. Perhaps a win when we go to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Having a chat there with Cadillac Works driver Andy Pilgrim, who certainly had an eventful day. But for Andy, it's been a strong start to the year as well, Dorsey. 2nd at Sebring and a 5th here today.
Yeah, and of course Andy has a whole lot less time in this Cadillac than his teammate Max Angelelli, which did all the developmental driving for the team. But it doesn't take Andy Pilgrim long to figure things out, and you can see that right now.
Time to hear from our 3rd place driver, Max Angelelli. We'll find out what his feelings were about that caution checkers finish. He's with Cal.
Max, I know it's a sad way to end a race there under caution, but you certainly had a great drive starting on the 3rd row and a podium run for you.
Thanks. I was very happy to finish the race on yellow because my car was so understeering and a little bit damaged that it was difficult for me to keep the pace.
How tough was it you to be running hard with your teammate Andy Pilgrim alongside you as you went down into turn 1 that lap?
No, that was good. I was just waiting for the right occasion. And the first half of the race wasn't any occasion. Then I started to half of the race and I made it.
All right, great job, Max. Thanks.
Nice work from the Italian, who spends a lot of time here in the United States racing in a variety of programs. We see him in the Rolex Sports Car Series and, of course, the Speed GT Championship. We congratulate Tommy Archer again. He wins the Sunoco Hard Charger Award, coming from 12th to 4th. Plenty more action coming today on HDNet from here, northwestern Connecticut, Lime Rock Park. We have the Speed Touring Car race coming up, and then later this afternoon we have the second and final race of the weekend for the Mazda Speed Miata Cup. On behalf of Derek Bell, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, I'm Lee Diffie. Thanks for watching HDNet's coverage of Speed World Challenge. And that was a little bit of an impatient start from Lou Gilotti, and he paid the price. We'll be back with plenty more motor racing action later today, Memorial Day. We hope you're having a great extended weekend, and we'll see you a little later on today.